So this is a kind of mummified look that I've created, and I'm going to go over. So I did start with plain latex and plain gelatine pieces and did a base coat of a mahogany Melpax paint and then topped it with Shinto 2. And then I'm now going in with a black airbrush, and it's from Dashbo. I also went in with Vile Bile shade and a brown, and those were Skin Illustrator shades. And then I topped over with Ghastly, and then back in with some Vile Bile, and also I went in with a one called Marsh. So Krylon bold cap, a glassing one. I stretched it a little bit first, and then now I'm going in with a Prosthetic around the skin. You don't need to put it on the piece as well, you can just do it onto the skin only. So this is quite difficult doing it on my own. So I tore up to my eye level quickly so I could see what I'm doing. Luckily it is just for the video purposes, so it didn't need to be uber neat, but actually it did go quite neat. I was quite impressed with the quality of this bowl cap. My hair was just flat down and tucked in at the back, because I wasn't planning to do pictures from the side or back or anything, but it did work. It looked quite flat. I just had a hair conditioner in so I could wash it later on, and I blended the edges off with acetone. So I'm going over the bowl cap now with some Prosthetic adhesive and a sponge, and that's to give the bowl cap some texture for paint to stick to. And I'm starting to put some Prosthetic to my skin as well, ready for the prosthetic later on. I prepped my boobs ready with some see-through kind of silicone bra lifting thingies, and obviously put glue and dried it to the piece and my chest, and that's when I started attaching the chest piece. It was a difficult piece to attach because it wasn't made for me. It was 3 or 4 sizes smaller than what I am, so I did quite lucky to manipulate it around my shape. And then as normal, I'm going around the edges using Prosthetic just to blend the edges, but I didn't want to do it too much because I just knew I'd be too long in this makeup otherwise. And for video and photo purposes, I just did it as quick as possible today. Unfortunately, it does start to unstick later because I am applying it, and all the moving whilst applying, it did start to unstick. So I powdered and then going over with Krylon fixing spray. I'm going to have to get as much paint as I can ready, because if I do that, it is cloudy as hell. So I'm a bit worried about the colouring on this one because I'm not going to be able to see properly. And then now attaching the facial prosthetic. So I'm working from the inside outwards, and then on the outside I'd powdered those, which I reactivated with some IPA. That was just to give myself some more moving time, and it's a trick I learned off Neil Gorton, who's brilliant. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, at this point I can barely see. So this one's cloudy and this one's half shut, so my vision senses are going mental. I was so glad I didn't put this other contact in this one, because I'd have been blind and I'd have not been able to carry on with the makeup. So as normal, I'm going around the edges using Prosthetic, because it's been out quite a while now. It's going a bit thicker, a nicer consistency. Prosthetic works lovely when it's been left out a little bit. And then as usual, obviously making sure it's dry and clear before pressing in the powder. And then again, I'll go in with some Krylon fixing spray to just take away the residue of the powder. So now I'm using the Krylon grease paints, and this is just their brown. And I'm using it as a base coat, a bit like I did the face prosthetic and body prosthetic when pre-painting. I'm going with the brown and then going with like a tan tone before I start going in with any contours and highlighting. So this is a really thick cream, as you can see. It covers my tattoos really easy. And yeah, it's brilliant. I love these kind of creams. So easy to blend, so easy to apply. I'm just using a thick sponge. I think it is actually a child's bath sponge, and it's just cut up. So then using a powder puff, I'm pushing in some translucent powder. And that's just to really set this product, else it can be really shiny and hard to layer up and too greasy. So it's quite an essential step. So now I'm going in with that Melpax paint in the Shinto 2 and using a texture sponge. So it's kind of sponge you can get in the Range Art department, and it just leaves a texture. It's like a sea sponge. So I'm just kind of layering that up before obviously now going into the airbrush paint. So going in with a black again from Dashbo, trying to bring out any of the bone work, any of the line work, anywhere that needs going over the edge of the prosthetic to try and hide it. trying to imitate bones and as if I was thinner and mummified and poorly. And this was so hard to do, I'm not going to lie, guys. Like, when I was trying to look down, like, the boobs were in the way, I couldn't hardly see. This was probably one of the hardest colouring jobs I've ever had to do, especially on myself as well. Because it was on myself, it made it harder. So I just imitated what I did with the face. There was some bio put in there, some brown. Now I'm going in with like a white, pale skin tone. And this is to also stimulate kind of wrinkling and creasing. Because obviously the face and chest prosthetic is so wrinkly and my body isn't. I was trying to give it some texture, because otherwise I was struggling to find the blend between the two to make them look unison and one. So it was quite a hard piece, especially because I was limited to view and application. I did this all standing up. I only usually do one arm, because I use one arm for posing and one arm for applying. So I'm just going in with the khaki green there, not just black all the time, just to give it a few colour dimension. And that's it at that point. I felt like it worked okay. I blended it enough. It's a bit funky. But I have this ash product by Makeup, and it literally is called ash powder. So I thought, obviously, if I'm a mummy, I'd be all dry and dusty. So I put that all over, and I really liked the way that looked. So that was really cool. So then using my slime mix with some dried mealworms, and then now going over my whole body and face and things like that, and pushing it in my eyes and my mouth. Obviously not in my mouth, this is not edible stuff. But yeah, I think this took it to the next level. Kind of like swampish mummy zombie thing going on. Quite gruesome, quite gross. I wished I could have put the other prosthetic in the other eye, but I definitely would not have been able to see if I did. So now using syrup and food colouring, just making some black kind of inside stuff to be able to spit out. It always looks impressive and good. It's really tasty as well. So this was quite hard to do. Obviously vision impaired, trying to paint like these areas of me when like that's in the way. I was trying to look down sometimes and the boobs are just in the way. And obviously so much moving when applying, it means like the side lifts off quicker and things like that. So it's actually quite difficult to film this. So this is the best I could do, being inflicted. I should have got some models to do it really, but I do quite enjoy applying it myself. But today, I got really stressed today. So let's have a look with the light off.